Hi, it's Nikki here from Essential Energy and Emotion. And today I've got Cherie with us, who's going to talk a little bit about Intuartiv Expression and the courses that she's been on with me and how they've actually changed her lives, or not, maybe.
No, definitely changed, yes.
You were on my Facilitator course back in, were you on the first one?
The second one, I think it was March. The second one, I want to say.
Yeah.
Can't quite remember. I think it was the second one.
Second one. And what drew you in to doing the course?
So my doTERRA group had a label for the entire group, from like the very first person up and her whole tree, and they called themselves the tribe. Well, the person who had gotten her involved is like our oily fairy godmother, so to speak. And Tara Wagner really got interested in the emotional.
She's oh my God. I've just been following her videos. She is just incredible.
She's hilarious. And I like that I swear sometimes, and sometimes she'll catch herself going, oh, I just said that, sorry. But she's just she's used the oils for so many very tangible things that she's right in your face sometimes about it. And one of the things was emotional health. Now, I found it interesting from my experience of being a massage therapist, how emotional health seemed to affect the physical body in such a huge way, digestive systems. And Tara openly talks about how doTERRA helped her with her digestive issues. That connection to the emotion and the oils, I already had that going in my world. I'd already been through several traumas in my life where I used the oils, but there was always something else missing from the healing bridge. Whether, with Reiki and oils, there yoga and the oils, movement and the oils, but there was always this one little piece. And maybe it was just my life personally that there was a piece missing, but it was the art expression. It was having the paint, having the brushes. It could be because I've been painting and drawing and expressing myself like that since I was wee little, but I don't know that it is truly the only thing that drew me in, because now when I'm sharing this with people, even people that have never picked up a brush before, they're like, wow, I've seen emotions run through them just like it did with me some of the times that I was doing it, but they weren't reliving experiences. Emotions were just running through. And that was so cool, because somatically with massage and even with movement, when emotions would come up, sometimes it would physically affect them and they felt like they were almost reliving traumas. I've not had that happen with this experience.
That's so
and
true.
That was like that with me and with them. So it was the emotional connection and being able to enjoy and release good and bad things, or things that make me stuck in a spot, or even things to celebrate and to share that ripple effect with others. I've used the Intuartiv for that as well, which was really great.
And I think that's so true what you said as well, that I think, even a lot of therapies, you end up reliving the trauma. That there's so much that we do that does, you actually feel it in your body, as you said, like if you're doing something physical with it. Whether with this, it just allows it to flow through. And because we're actually exterior, we can actually look at it at a distance and just see it for what it is, and know that we can actually rip that piece of paper up and burn it.
Yeah.
So it just becomes, and I think as well with the painting, what also comes to mind, it still brings us back into that childlike state. So we're looking at it almost from a child, from a very innocent point of view as well, a very different point of view. And it's so interesting you talk about Tara, because I literally just discovered her this week. And I was just blown away by her videos, because the way she describes about the effects of essential oils on emotions, the way she explains it is so concise and so easy to understand. It blew my mind again. and makes me realize just why we do what we do. One, with using the oils, and with obviously with Intuartiv.
Yeah, she's used them for a lot of those reasons too. So I just love the fact that she's like, guess what I did, you know? Yeah, and there's people in our tribe that have their own little family trees. The White Buffalo tribe. She also shared with us what she had been using for years, because of, well, probably, I guess I would describe it as anxiety or depression. But for her, that's the connection of those three particular oils and how she was using them with a vitamin supplement took years, but she's finally found a space where she's like, oh my gosh, I'm not just sitting around watching life melancholy feeling just go by. I can actually feel. And I know and she does too. It's the connection of the oils.
Yeah.
You know, so, but you're right, Intuartiv, you're right, that childlike space. Paint does make us feel like we're kids again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. When do you play with paint and color and crayons and chalk the most? When you're a kid.
And
Thank
not
you
getting
for
into the
that.
technique. Yeah, because we're in that space where, as you know, when we're painting Intuartiv, that we're just painting what we're feeling. We're not having to paint something. We can just be free with it, or not have to do something. So it does, get us into that different mindset.
For me, I have to share with you, one of the greatest gifts I've had from it was being able to show and share with others that there's something tangible that we can do to just help us feel better and be in a good space. That has been incredible. That it's so simple that I might just see a person one time in my office, but 2 or 3 years down the road, I know that they're going to be painting at home.
Yeah.
And using oils, hopefully doTERRA oils, because of their high vibration and frequency. We all know this, but just I know that it's a tangible skill, a tool that everyone can take home after they've done it with us.
And that's it, as you said, just after one session, after that one moment, and this has happened to me so many times as well, that it opens them up to their creativity. And so they know that they can go and paint, and they don't have to be painting something. They can just go just for the pleasure. It doesn't have to be working through anything. It can just be, okay, I just want to get my paints out, paint it out, and be done with it. And also the fact of what you just said as well is that those people then have a tool in those moments when they're feeling, not at their best, and they don't know what's going on, but they know they have a tool. They can just get out their paint box and paint.
Or bored.
or bored, or open pizza
or
box,
lonely, or
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, I could see somebody being totally lonely and doing that, and being able to, running into someone as they're buying paints and telling them what they do. Well, I know you don't know me, but you want to meet at the park? I'll show you what I do out in the open. It's just that ripple effect, goes. And that was one of the coolest things that I've gotten from it, was to see people be able to use it at home, or not even around anymore. Yeah, just on their own.
And that's for sure. I mean, I've seen people now. There's somebody that comes to mind. I must have painted with her about 4 or 5 years ago, and she came to the workshop like so many. I can't paint. I don't know how to paint. And then she started the process, and something just snapped in her, and she was just painting these most incredible pictures, and it just opened her out completely. And now she just paints and paints and paints. And I know there's other people on the course like Norma as well, who's now, I'm not an artist, and now she's selling her artwork.
Oh, that happened to me too, now that I think about it. After the first session, I started painting my canvases again, and I'm elbows deep in a 4 foot by 3 foot freaking canvas right now. Like, yeah, I haven't been able to stop painting and sketching, which I used to all the time, and I completely quit. I forgot all about that. Yeah, it just completely opened up the cavern again, and I was just like, my paint bag is so big. It's this super heavy messenger bag. I must look all cumbersome with it, but I can't help it. I take it everywhere I go. I can't ever since that first session. So it's been a year and a half, I think, that I've been carrying that damn thing around. I just can't help it. Little canvases, I'm finally like, oh, I can get little ones and paint on them.
Yeah,
Which I've
it's
never
so
done
funny,
before.
because I've started doing like these little cards. I don't,
Yep.
my dream could be like oracle cards, but I don't know what they're going to be. But actually working really small, I didn't think I could get so much emotion from them from just working in such a small area. But it's just as incredible, even on a postcard size, and doing it with your
Yes.
fingers on it as well.
Thank you for bringing up the fingers. That's a part of the Intuartiv expression that is very powerful because you're also touching the oils. So
Yes,
they're going through your hands.
you
So
know,
you're not
I
only
never thought
smelling
of that.
them, but you're absorbing them. And it's every time I've touched it, the first time I touched the paper, I was angry. Or the first time I did it, I remember. And the oil, it might have been vetiver. Um, I remember touching it and I felt like I had to touch the next few layers too after that. Having your hands in the paint and having your fingers, I don't even really have nails, but just feeling yourself touching the paper,
Yeah,
whether it's aggressively or soft or curious or pinching, just the texture of it too. That does bring a sense of this is very real, like this is really tangible and happening.
yeah.
And the it is the comfortableness of processing whatever's coming out. And it's so subtle, but the hands touching it really made it very strong.
It's so strong that the times when if I've been using a brush and then I start using my hands, there can be so much anger that comes out. You really get the emotion. The times you just want to hit that piece of paper. And it's
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the oils that you're actually, I mean, I think the other way as well, that while I'm doing it, there's Reiki going in
Yes.
and infusing the painting with the Reiki. That feels really
Yeah.
powerful. But yeah, with the oils are actually, yeah, I
Right through your
completely get.
skin. Uh-huh. And Reiki with it, whether you do Reiki or not. Whether you
Feeling
do
loving
or not.
energy.
Doing Intuartiv with something like that in mind.
Yeah,
I've done some celebration pieces and cut them into card shapes and use them as cards for friends and family. Um, I think the cards are quite ugly. I don't think they're pretty at all, like to the eyes. But people get them and they're like, oh, this is wonderful. And I know it's that they're grooving on the oils and the energy in it because it's just so abstract. I'm like, it's not even anything to be like, oh,
no,
but
but
it is that loving
yeah,
it.
there is
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah,
There was
it's
one time
very cool.
I did a picture for somebody, and I connected her energy into the intuitive for her. And I really thought it was going to be like in the reds and quite strong colors because that's who she is, but it wasn't. It was green at the end. And when I gave it to her, she burst into tears and she said, it's really weird. She says, because I don't normally like green. She says, but this I love and I just feel the energy from it completely. And as you said, they're not picking up on what they're seeing, they're picking up on what they're feeling. And
Yes.
with you said about all the touch and the texture. To me, intuitive is such like sensorial moment because you have got the oils. That touch does make it so real. It really, once you've had your fingers in it and then you go back to the brush, you feel almost disconnected from it.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah. Having your fingers in it is way different.
Yeah.
It's almost rooting into the paint. It's making me think about it right now. I'm like, ooh, the painting I'm working on, right? One of two I'm working on. Now I want to put my hands in it and see if I can't get the movement I'm thinking of with my fingers. So thank you.
Mm. You're welcome.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So how's your life
Yeah.
changed after?
How's my life changed after?
Yeah, in feeling or what's opened up for you?
Hmm. I feel like for decades, maybe it's because I do the healing arts as a profession. I felt like I was always trying to walk into my true authentic self in some way, shape, or form. And there's not many people in the world that are not in my profession that even talk like that. So I think it might have been just my awareness from where my education comes
Mm.
from and my background comes from, that I was aware that I wasn't really comfortable in my own skin with my own thoughts, my own experiences in life, and how I choose to handle them are so different than others, and it made me uncomfortable. Uh, I was feeling very comfortable and on my path before I found Intuartiv, but once I started using Intuartiv, um, yeah, there's like the blocks come up, or mountains, molehills that we make into mountains, struggles in life, traumas, things come up, but I'm somehow able to handle all the adversities that I would normally kind of crumple under or just be emotional about in
Mm.
a whole different way. I mean, I still feel emotion about things, but the any of the fear, anger, or defensive emotions or survival techniques I'd used in the past are non-existent because they didn't help before. But Intuartiv has become a way where even if I can't express what I need to say to somebody, I can paint through whatever it is. And I may just find through that experience that God's going to take care of that. I don't have to say a darn thing, you know?
No doubt.
Um, Burning bridges. I've had books of matches and have burnt bridges with what I've had to say quite a bit recently. And love you too. um, but it wasn't there's none of this I think in the past I wouldn't have been able to have stood so firm in what I said or where I was coming from.
Mm.
Um, because so many traumas and energies and things that hadn't been dealt with muddled what my intentions were or what I was really saying. I don't feel like there's muddling like that anymore.
No, and I remember you saying that on the course as well about different issues
Mm-hmm.
coming up of how before, how now you can actually really stand in your truth and you're like you know who you are, and you allow
Yeah,
you give yourself that permission to say. It's like those
to
boundaries
have
have
a
been set
boundary.
more. Mm.
Yeah. And I give myself permission to not give a damn if somebody's upset
Yes,
that I had a boundary.
yes, that was yeah.
That has been as a people pleaser or as a servant of the people. And I do believe that what I do for work, I do believe it is service to the community. I don't believe that I am out here self-serving myself at all. Um, I feel like I have to be able to own what I say and feel without shame or guilt as
Yes.
well. And there's never been a tool before. I mean, Reiki helped, but there was so much stuff embedded in me so deep from childhood teachings and survival techniques that I wasn't getting enough Reiki. Like I needed my Reiki masters to be around me every single day in order to start clearing all the, I mean, I really probably would almost be a traumatic experience. Whereas the art and the oils takes away the traumatizing part.
Yes.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Totally.
Yeah. And the muddled spots aren't there anymore. I can, if I do something and it's wrong, I'm actually quite okay being, oh, I see your perspective. I'm sorry, that might have hurt your feelings, you know? But some other things that have happened recently, I'm like, no, that boundary of mine is pretty firm for a reason, and I don't appreciate that whatsoever. Like, nope, we are not, until you can come to heads with what has happened, we're not speaking. I've been able to cut cords and stand really firm in my own life I'm building, and it's all because I know it is of that. Maybe a little
Wow.
EC involved,
As
maybe a
well,
little
yeah, the
emotion
motion
code.
code. But I think the two go really hand in hand, because both of them, again, are such gentle ways of releasing the blocks from the trauma without having to open that Pandora's box and relive everything again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
So gentle. So yeah, that's how it's changed my life. I feel like I've been myself, you know?
That's exactly what I'm about.
Mm-hmm. I feel
Coming
like I've
back to
been able to
yourself.
be myself more, which is nice.
And didn't you did the body image course?
I did. And funny that you bring that up because I was at my second residence the other week, and I saw the picture that I was finally able to print up a picture so I could finish those last few assignments. And I saw the picture, and me in the past, I mean, even looking at my wedding photos, in the past, I would have been like judging my thickness, whether I'm defined, the size of my breast, can you see a belly, all these things. And I never once, when I saw the picture or even my wedding photos, thought those things. And I didn't even get to finish yet all of the body stuff, right? But just even, yeah, there's so much um like addiction to food. I'm trying to think of the word. There's the way people don't eat. There's so much stuff that people do to their bodies that is so negative because of how they see themselves. Um, being able to use Intuartiv for that could be a full-on game changer. And I'm actually curious as to how I can bring that into a younger audience at
Yeah,
my new center, the
yeah,
new office. Hmm.
yeah, very much. Because
Yeah.
yeah, so okay, so while you're here about your new office, what do you have planned in there? Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, I can I can only put out the request for other orthopedic style massage therapists or people that really want to help others go through pain, alleviate pain. Stress even starts to cause that in our bodies, right? So
Mm,
a Swedish component's got to be in their studies because that's really quite helpful in helping people, you know. Um, I plan on having 3 treatment rooms, Nikki. They're only like 9 by 10 is the first one, and they get just a couple feet bigger as you. There's 3 of them that get a little bit bigger as you go. Um, I would like to have Reiki practitioners in there as well, and then with the 2 conference rooms, um, definitely smaller yoga classes or movement classes. The word yoga freaks people out, and I totally understand why. So the rebel in me will definitely come out and start renaming things so that way we can get people in to shake their hind ends. Um, the Intuartiv classes, absolutely. Um, I have somebody that does crystal bowl sound sessions, so I'm looking forward to bringing her in. I
mm.
have another good friend that does qigong, so that'll be nice, even if it's just once a month to have somebody come in and do qigong. So there should be movement classes or an assortment of different avenues of healing modalities like that on one side. And then the other side would be treatment rooms. If we needed to use the smaller conference room for Reiki sessions or reflexology, so be it. Um, I do hot stone. And one of the unique things about me is that I feel like love is what really keeps us connected. And I don't know if you know who Mr. Rogers is out here in the United States. He was on public broadcasting stations, and he had a children's show. And his children's show, Mr. Rogers, was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And he was all about just learning how to be together as a community. If you ever get a chance to look it up, there's even a movie, a documentary style movie about him that's quite moving, I must say. The words, I love you, I is one letter, love is four letters, you is three letters. And in our family, my husband and I and his parents, they always write 143 to us all.
Oh,
Since there's three treatment rooms, I'm going to put a 1 and a 4 and a 3 on the doors. Um, inside the first conference room, a wee little bit of a mural that says, love did that. And that's it. And on the other one, there's a quote from Malcolm X that says, when we replace the I with we, or when we replace I with we, even illness becomes wellness.
yes.
And I saw a meme that had a whole bunch of hands and hearts in them. So I'm going to have that as a mural on the other wall. Every bottle of home blended essential oils, whether they're the babies, my 5 or 10 milliliters, and any of the soaps that I make, because I use doTERRA oils in them. I'm going to give $3 to the Children's Backpack Fund at our local school, which gives kids food on weekends and through the summer. And they do it in a sneaky way because people are so judgmental about it. And I know they struggle not only with that, but with finance. So I thought I might as well give at least $3 back and do something like that as well. And I'll take a picture of like some of the herbs in my garden and have that be like the photo. For some of the stuff we make with the soaps comes from our farm here. So it's my little hanging things I'll sell in the windows.
It's so wonderful to hear you talking about it.
Simple. It's about damn time I do something. You know, I have lockers for the in contractors, and I have a little room so we have our files locked, you know, that they can get away, and there's another entrance that's quiet and covered that they can get away from clients should they need to. I'll put a rocking chair out there. You know, I know what I need to work and what I want to foster, and it really is taking care of ourselves and being able to offer what these healing modalities that help others. And I don't plan on taking commissions, you know, that make us struggle. I've been doing this for 30 years and they always take 50% or 60%. And I don't want to do that. I understand everything that I'm offering people. It looks like it might be too good to be true, but running your own business is not too good to be true. It's hard work and you've got to commit. So I plan on reminding the practitioners of that too. Like, it's the real deal, man. Like, if you're going to do this, let's do it. You know?
Completely.
So here I go.
It's so funny because this then brings me on to the emotive cord thing as well, because just hearing you speak is just like, there's just so much emotion and so much, it's like your dream is finally here because you've been wanting this for so long.
For so long. Yeah. For so long. It's ridiculous. But I'm very excited to be able to finally pull this off.
I'm not surprised.
With very little funding. And I'm just like, screw it. Let's just go for it.
But that's the way it comes through, isn't it? You know, once we get, you know, with the emotive boards, it's once you get in that emotion and that vibration, things just start falling in.
Well, speaking of the emotive board with my logo, my artwork has always had my little C's in it for my name. My stepfather's last name was Cox with a C, so it was always C's like waves. Okay. But the emotive board, the more I look at it, which I see it all the time, and I see my logo, I'm like, oh man, I can actually draw that with my paintbrush on the corner of all my artwork too. And it really has. I can see myself getting some wire or red willow branches. I used to make dream catchers with red willow, and I saw my logo almost like a sigil. Sigil, is that what you call it?
Sigil, yeah.
Yes, made out of red willow. I saw it in my head, like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to put one together so I can hang it up in there somewhere.
And that, that to me is what the logo is about, because once you've got the 3D version of your emotive board, that every time you see that, it's not just a logo, it's everything
Everything.
that's encapsulated into that. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
that.
I'm working on it. I need to find some. I know where some willow is, but it's not red willow. But we're still gonna go down to the lake and go pick some anyway, just to see if I can fuss with it. I'll talk to the plant first and see if it'll let me fuss around with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what's with red willow? My goodness, that's a hard one to say. Red willow. Is it more flexible?
I believe so. I believe so. My Native American elder never taught me why he preferred it. But I know that where it grew was in the lower valleys. We were in Lake Tahoe at the time. So the lower valleys off the mountains, it grew like crazy. And it would probably be about 3-4 feet high spikes off the creeks.
Yes.
I wonder if the Native Americans always used it because it was flexible and easy to weave. And they could go fish and also make baskets and fish while they were picking it, So I'll find out. Yeah.
That's amazing.
The Intuartiv board was very different as well than any of the vision boards, just because it's all emotion.
Yeah, the emotive board, yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does
And I've
take
done
it for
vision
different.
boards well, there's no words, right?
No.
I've done vision boards with no words. I've done them with words. I've done them with just images that remind you of stuff. These weren't images that just made me think about something. They were images that I had to say, I'm thinking about it because of what? It made me go deeper as to why I wanted those images there. So that's what made it different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and obviously all the work we did beforehand as well to get in that point. But it is, I think, once you look at that image or those images or you're bored completely, it just makes you feel completely good. For me,
It does make you feel good. Yeah.
I always found with vision boards, when I used to look at vision boards, I used to think, on a good day, it was fine. On a bad day, I'd be thinking, oh shit, I've still not got there yet. I've still not manifested half my board. Why can't I do it? It just gets you in that wrong mindset. Whereas the emotive boards were different.
Right. I just asked you, like, I wonder why, and you just right on the nose. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's not like a checklist.
Yeah, exactly. And I know I remember with vision boards, it just never felt right. I kept looking through magazines and I've done so many courses with them, and to do this board and do that board, and then you start looking through magazines I thought, this isn't right. I kept going for pictures that were just making me feel good. Whether that was a whole load of turquoise and purple just painted on the page, or they were just there to make me feel good, and I could not, and I did not want to find pictures about, a house or a car or this or that, an object. It was just how it made me feel, and it could be anything. And I think that's the difference.
It was the difference. For me, it was paying attention to what something made me feel like instead of just what it was in my head and what I thought.
Yeah. Oh my God. Bingo. Right there.
All the survival techniques of all the decades of maybe there's never a survival technique in someone's life, but we're still influenced by people, movies, TV shows. Unless you live in a beautiful bubble, that is the truth. And I think the influence goes right here And when I started to look at what I was putting on that board through my heart and through how it really made me feel, there was a complete disconnect from there to here. And I
That's
don't
it.
have a very good filter for my mouth. So I found that fascinating that the disconnect was right here too at the collarbone. Like, yeah,
Yeah, that
it
is
was
it.
neat.
The other balls are through the head. They come from
Mm-hmm.
the head, and this is you're coming from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's different. I think the connection to that is because emotion is energy, you know, and we have to use energy to move our body. We have to use energy to think, whether we know it or not. We do. We just do it without thinking about doing it. So the common connection is energy itself. When we take out the physical part and we go just to the energy, then I feel like
Yeah,
it's pure. It's a clean path, a clean byproduct of us, like on that board.
totally. And I mean, the other thing as well is that, the heart is really the emotional center, the real living from the emotion, as in either the gut
Mhm.
emotion. But when we're when we're dealing with those true emotions, what's making us feel good, that is from the heart, it's from the soul.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's more about the soul speaking as well through that, what it really
Absolutely.
wants you to.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the connection I see in it. Yep. It's very good. Hmm.
It's wonderful.
Profound in such a subtle way.
Yeah,
Do you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a real
Mm-hmm.
alchemy with Intuartiv, because when you tell people about, okay, you're going to paint in layers and you're going to use the oils and there's emotions in it. It just kind of like, yes, there's a paint in the oils, but there's something else that happens. And we cannot put a finger on it. For me, there's divine intervention that also happens within that. There's something so much deeper.
Well, it's
Your
different for every
soul,
person too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just, you're going to be painting. You're not going to be
No,
just painting with the oils. There's something else that happens, and it's something so much bigger than just the addition of those three elements.
but it's so subtle. That's what I appreciate about it the most is that it's
Yeah,
so subtle. Yeah. Now, the hard part about it being subtle is that, at least from my perspective, is that people expect this poof, you know, this freaking epiphany or something. They expect it from Reiki. They expect it
yes,
immediately from massage. It's very difficult to sometimes it's very difficult for me to stand and be like, everything's going to be fine. Just let it happen. I almost want to get overly defensive about the process because it is so subtle, but it's real and it is subtle and it is tangible. But getting people to understand, there's so much education and love for people that are going through it because they don't know. And they, at least again, from my end, people expect epiphanies. They expect to walk out feeling like, oh, that trauma, that problem's gone. It's a tool.
yeah.
It's
I
a
think that
tool.
again, I think that comes from the conditioning. That if there's something wrong, we go
Yeah.
and take a medication, and that medication,
Yes.
we've got a headache, we take a pill, and it goes. So
Yep.
we're so trained that when we do something, something's going to happen, and it's not us doing it; it's what's going on the outside. If I give you the paint box, it's going to solve your problems, and it doesn't. It helps you
Right.
to see exactly what's going on in your life, and then it for me it kind of clears the path, so you know how to deal with it. It gives you the possibility of really, yeah, just
Clarity.
taking it inside out and seeing, okay, this is where I'm at.
Yes. Inside out. Yes. Uh-huh. Yes. And yes, it
It's kind
does.
of like oracle cards in the painting. I mean, oracle cards can basically tell you what's going on in your life and where you are, You've got to do something about it, but it's just showing you. And I think for me, that painting is the same thing. It's just showing you where you are.
Yeah.
And as you said, it doesn't have to be used for all the negative stuff. It can be a complete celebration.
Complete celebration.
Complete celebration.
Yeah. Those painting sessions are wonderful. Even the tough ones are wonderful, but the celebration ones, those are fun. The oils are always perfect.
Oh.
I've even gotten black as a color. You know what? Yeah. Yeah. It's they're fun. They feel good.
Yeah. And then
I
you just
encourage people to use them.
yeah.
Please, you go first.
Well, I was going to say about the oils, you know, how you said that the oils are always spot on, and they are. That's what it almost spooks me so completely. The fact you can be choosing those oils with your eyes shut, and then, you know, you're journaling away and talk about what's been happening in the painting, and then you look at the oils and you think it's just like, what? You can't make it up.
Nope. No, you cannot make it up. Mm-mm.
No.
I've done hundreds of paintings since I've met you. And each time I'm like, wait, what? Wait,
Yeah.
what?
And it has to be high vibrational oils. It's for any other oil, if you're using high street oils, you're going to get the smell. You're going to get the aromatic experience of that. You know, it smells beautiful. It's smelling of lavender or lemon or whatever. But because they're on a lower vibration, they're not going to hit that vibration of emotion and the spiritual and the soul based work.
Correct.
And I think if you're doing, I mean, to me, Intuartiv, as well as being an artistic experience, it's an energetic healing experience. And when you're working on an energetic level, you're going to need tools that match that match that energy.
I really like the way you said that. That was perfect. I'm going to be using those words to share with people why I use doTERRA.
Yeah.
Oh, the sun is out. We'll move this closer. My phone was sitting in the sun. It doesn't like to get hot.
Oh no, no.
The
But it
sun
is, I
is
mean,
moving as we sit.
I've said that so many times though, that it's to do with the vibration of the oil. You can the you know, lower vibration oils, that they're great to work on the physical. If you need lavender for burn, you know, it's physical, it'll do its job. But if you need to be doing that deeper work at soul level work, then you have to have vibrational.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And I use crappy paint from a dollar store.
But I was just thinking, when you said about the woman with a crystal bowl, I just wonder what would happen if you put your paints in the tubes, place them in the bowl.
Funny that you say that. I have a brass bowl, a big one. It's like that deep and it's this big around. And I've put water and my crystals one by one in there before. And the water alone just jumps everywhere. It's so neat. So I have not thought about putting the paints,
Yes.
but I might do that on my own. Do a little sound healing with the paint before I put it with the oil and see what happens.
Yes. So just
That's
put the tube.
Cool.
So don't squeeze the paint into the bowl. But put the tube of paint before you start the session, and it'd be really interesting. That was just coming through when you said about the woman with the bowl. I thought, well, that happens if
Well, I know that I did ask my friend if I could I have my cart with all my paint stuff in it. I said, you know, when you're doing sound classes, I might just have the cart like really close to the door. So everything will just kind of get that groovy vibe. She's like, no worries. Because it really works.
Yeah. Oh, for sure it does.
The sound healing is incredible. Tuning forks and things like that. Yeah. I hope that these practitioners start coming out of the woodwork and want to share with our community because I think it's neat.
Yeah.
I think it's neat.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It is. But the Intuartiv, I'm actually taking an entire day off of my schedule from standing at the table as a soft tissue therapist. And I'm gonna go in the other room to wiggle and to do art classes with people
It's
instead.
really about the movement you said, because I don't know if you know Flora Bowley. She's the one that inspired me to start painting in layers. And she does movement. She does a lot of stretching and yoga. She was a yoga teacher. So between the layers, she's getting people to do yoga movements to get that emotion flowing through.
Because you mentioned that in one of our classes months ago, I do sometimes when I see somebody is stuck at the table or I see them having a very big emotional outburst, I've seen people just kind of sit there and go, oh, I know there's more, but I don't know what to do. We get up and we do child's pose or breath of joy, or sometimes the big volcano, just letting stuff out. Anything to like get them to move and to breathe and somatically release as well.
Yeah.
My favorite yoga class is actually essential oil yoga classes because the oils with the poses, they physically and on a vibrational level help you release emotions as well and also just feel better. They really get into your body when you've been moving and breathing them in, and it really facilitates a whole nother level of health and wellness, you know.
So how do you integrate the oils into a yoga routine?
Um, this is really funny. It was 9 years ago because I've been a yogi now for 20 some years, 21 years. 9 years ago, I was sitting on Aroma Tools website, bored out of my tears, looking for books because I wanted something to read. I think I had to order a book, is what it was. And Essential Oil Yoga is a little manual on Aroma Tools that was already developed by a couple of ladies that were yogis and doTERRA wellness advocates, probably higher up in tier. And I got it and it completely made sense. And I was like, oh, I'm running with it. Here we go. So I used their sessions and their suggestions. I have the yoga anatomy books, and I was looking at how some of the poses they had in there, what releases that it causes in the fascia layers too. And some of them are very deep in the gut, which is where we have a lot of emotion held, and face. So I just ran with it. I have their sessions, their suggestions in a wee little book. And as I learn more about oils and some of their emotional connections, I'll bring that into class. But yeah, I allow people to go through their own experience with the movement and the oils. It's been 10 years since I've been doing those classes. It's fun.
There's so many ways you can go with this. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. I don't often include yoga poses with paint groups of 2 or more.
No. No.
Nope, I really don't. When it's one-on-one, I don't know how to put into words why I choose that. I feel like when people are together in a group using Intuartiv, they almost they're coming for an experience with other people. And they're almost willing to like go through the layers and just play around with it. When you've got one person alone,
it's very
and
different.
they sit there and they look at the paper and they've turned it. Maybe they turned it over, you know, and started on the other side. When they're alone, that doesn't happen as easily as when there's other people at the table with them. It's almost like everybody's energy kind of stirs each other up.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very,
and
very
I feel
different
like
experience.
yoga helps them move through whatever it is that may be keeping them from not painting.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very different, I think, for when it's one-to-one. Some people can go through this fear of either being seen, this expression when they've got somebody else with them, with two people. It's kind of like more of a shared experience. It's like, well, you know, they're going to be doing it as well. They've more chance to open up. But then there's a certain number, obviously, when you get to a certain number, and that then disappears. There's too many people, and it closes down.
Yeah, my magic number is 4, 6. I don't take more than that.
No, 4 is good for me. Any more than that, it's very, very different. Interesting dynamics.
It's like that with my yoga classes too. I don't like to take more than 6. 10 is like, if I'm outside and we're all in a big circle, groovy. But inside in a room, I don't like to have more than 6 people.
No.
I don't know why that number, but it always seems to be like that. And then with Intuartiv especially, I did do some yoga with a person who was like 3 girls that knew each other and a cousin. So there were 3 friends and a cousin. And it didn't, I don't know. I think she felt like she was on display instead of actually being able to process through something. And that took it away. From that moment on, I just, when there's more than one person, I just don't even bring the element in.
No. Unless, I think, if you've been working with them, like if you're doing a course and you've got a few of them over a period of time, where those people really become comfortable with each other, then it takes it to a different level.
Oh, I can see that. Having like a month-long thing, once a week, y'all come in and paint, and the 5th class, if anybody needs a little yoga in there, or if they've already know each, I can see that. Yeah.
Opens them out more. Yeah,
I don't think Intuartiv is one of those things that actually, I don't think movement is a necessary component of it.
No.
Just being open-minded and holding space. And that's the most important. That was the hardest part for me. Wasn't holding space, but shutting my mouth when they would see something or say something, like, write it down. I'm not gonna, no, write it down. Write it down. Yeah. I'm not gonna say nothing, just write it down. Take it to your counselor, take it to your therapist, write it down. That's what I tell people.
Yeah. And that, you know, it's each to their own. I mean, some people like to discuss it there and then, or like, okay, once they've been all down at the end of the session, then, you know, talk about it, and once it's out and done, not influence the process. And I love to also in complete silence. So the group just paints together, and then we talk about it at the end, because people get so much in their bubble then, and that's where the emotions really come out.
I like that. Just paint through it and talk at the end. Write down everything that, I like that. I don't even talk really at the end. I'm like, shh. You have stuff to write and think about. Go. That's interesting. Okay. I'll have to think about that one.
Well, it's, you know, you have your way, and you're very much the person who, you're just there to give them the keys, and how they're going to feel with it afterwards, you know, that's their doing. You're just facilitating that space.
Well, sometimes people have little friends that visit them, and I do sometimes feel energies and things, and I hear stuff, and I try not to channel or do anything. And if things come out, I'll like tell their little friends, I'm not talking, you know, I'm not saying a word. You can yell in my ear all you want. It's not happening. It's not my place today. And but it's really hard. Very hard, because the Intuartiv, again, it opens up so much energy that I don't know that everybody that sits down really understands. There's this huge conduit, and it just goes,
this is it,
you know.
I think this is the element that says that
really
other element.
To shush my mouth, you know.
And I think that's what happens. It does open us up. I know for me, when I paint, there's definitely, you know, channeling going on and downloads coming in.
It's crazy cool. It is. But it's hard not to say something to people when I know that it's their people there. I try to make sure that like I let them know you're invited, or, you know, through opening up a room with energy work and Reiki. I often say, you know, I don't know who's coming in the door today, but all of their friends and guides and spirits can only make themselves known. Please only make themselves known to them. I'm not here for that today. And then you get these really strong energies that are like, oh, yes, you are here for me to say hello today. And that gets really difficult, but that's only happened a couple times. And those people were safe people for me to be like, what the heck? What the heck? You know, but I'm moving into having a business with general public, and I'm thinking, okay, God, when I do Intuartiv, I want a button and a zipper right here. You know, I just want to hold space.
Yeah.
I feel like, Nikki, in the healthcare world, and again, I've never been across the pond. I don't know what it's like in other countries so much. I've been to a few small islands and where there's not really a healthcare system involved at all. So compared to America, that was a real big shock. I feel like that Intuartiv can be a form of healthcare for people on a mental side,
Very
whereas
much.
we spend so much time in doctors' offices here, and you know, I don't approve of your general practitioner giving you any form of antidepressant or psycho medication. You need to have that done with somebody who is trained to listen to you and follow what your mind is saying and doing. I feel like Intuartiv is a way to get people to not even go down that road to begin with.
Yeah.
So many people jump there. And what if we started here? You know, I feel like it's a change of tide in a way for
Yeah.
natural health that isn't so overwhelming and isn't so woo woo. I mean, it's very tangible.
It is.
It's very tangible. You see what's happening on the page. You can't deny what you're seeing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally
So,
that.
yep. That's where I want to go with it.
Wow. Oh, thank you much. Thank you so much, Cherie, for all your input. It's just
I
incredible.
appreciate you. I appreciate you and what you're doing and what you've taught me. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you've taught
Someday
me so
we're
much.
gonna be at doTERRA convention
I
on
know.
stage. You know that?
Okay, so I'm gonna let you into you know, doTERRA are running this competition for photos where to send in your photo of you sharing your oils. Emily put a thing up, and so I just sent one in with Intuartiv and just put my little blurb about it, and the winning photos get shown at convention. Now that would just be amazing. That could be my first debut. If one of my photos is up there, that could be my first little thing of getting in.
We're gonna do it, Nikki.
I know.
We're gonna do it. I felt it. I was like, I told my sweetheart, I said, I've got to contact Tara and be like, do you know what the hell is happening? Like, you need to meet this person and you need to know what she has shown me. And I'm like, I know that I'm not a higher rank up. I didn't build a big business. My line is like 5 miles long instead of built like a family tree. I know that. But I'm not in doTERRA to make money. I'm in doTERRA to help people change their lives. And if they can't see that as a valuable reason to put us up there, you know, what we're doing
Yeah.
is so important. And it doesn't have to be from a diamond or a gold or
No,
whomever.
exactly.
It
And
needs,
this is what I feel. This is
yeah.
undercurrent we're creating. It's like we're creating ripples,
Yeah.
but it's got to go up and out.
Oh, Nikki, it is. It is. I can totally see you up there. Yeah. I see it. Yeah,
You're
man.
not the first person who said that.
Sparkles and shine all around, man. I do. Do you wear sequin dresses? I can see you in one.
Uh,
Someday. Someday. It's a beautiful way to incorporate the oils. It's a beautiful way. So thank you to all of your angels and your guides that helped this happen too, because it's really profound. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
absolutely.
Oh, and thank you so much for just sharing. You know, you've been with me that if it's March, it was probably one of the first ones, nearly almost from the start. You're probably my biggest fan. One of my biggest fans.
I am a big fan of you. I am. I want to see this. I want to see this be a part of. So they teach aroma touch, right? I want to see this being another avenue for us to reach
Yeah,
out to people. Yeah,
that's how I
absolutely.
see it.
Is that right?
That's the way I feel it. That this should be something that we know, for one, integrated into teams, and to help people use this to, for one, you know, if people are starting out with doTERRA oils and they don't know how to connect with them, this to me just shows the absolute power. It's a whole stage for the oils to show what they're made of.
Yeah.
And what better way than to really feel them, and it connects you with yourself, with your soul self, and the oils show you that way. So that
Yep.
there's that, and yeah, of taking it out further than doTERRA, a way of helping people to, as you said, for going down every avenue regarding mental health, emotional wellness.
Yep. It's profound.
I'm going to leave it on this note. We're going to set this intention. Oh,
Yeah. It's set, my dear.
yeah.
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day as well. What time is it there?
It's probably about 2:30. I could tell you real quick. I'm using a stick. Do you love it? Yeah, it's about 2 o'clock.
Oh.
I did. I used the stick on my circle. It works. I know where north is. That's why I was able to do that. You have to know where north is. Once you know where north is, you can stick a stick in the ground and go, oh, okay. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Love it.
So it's about two-ish. Yeah. But my sweetheart and I get to be home today, and I've got 3 pots of tomatoes on the stove. I've been canning and processing from the garden for 2.5 weeks, and driving children to universities to visit colleges to see where they want to move on to, and visiting children at universities because we had 2 kids move back into school. I'm exhausted.
It's kind of like me. I've been picking common elderberry. I've got a whole bucket load of it, and then I found some mushrooms that I'm gonna dry. So I've got a whole bag load of mushrooms. Oh yeah,
It's just constant.
love it.
Dehydrator's plugged in. I'm dehydrating tomatoes because they're so good. They're like sun dries when you dehydrate them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm using everything I can, making pesto because I've got so much basil. It's just a lot. So I'll take a break in a little bit and I'll get right back at it.
Thank you so much, Cherie. Oh, love you loads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you loads too, man. I appreciate all that you've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Take care, Cherie.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Bye, Nikki.